Hello, everyone. Today is Sunday. I'm told that this is prayer day. I just saw a video with Marky Mark uh, um, kneeling and praying and telling me to stay prayed up. And so, not a bad idea. Um, of course, every day should be prayer day, but it's but then that's one of those things that. I'm certainly in no position to lecture anybody else about. Anyhow, keep with the prayer motif in mind. I wanted to say a prayer of thanks because really this is something that I had not considered until recently. You think about grace happening, grace interceding in your life or in history or in whatever way. Sometimes stuff happens that you don't understand, that you can't explain. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And when it's bad, of course, that's one of those things people ask, why does God allow this or that or the other thing? One of those heavy theological questions there's no easy answer for. But sometimes God would seem to intervene in ways that are undoubtedly for the good, and seemed very unlikely to have happened to the point where you could almost attribute it to a miracle. Now, I don't know if what I'm going to talk about here is a miracle. I don't think it could exactly qualifies as a miracle, but I do think it's an instance of grace. And unfortunately, it's in the realm of politics. And electoral politics, which I'm not. I'm really just not big on. I don't really believe in. I believe the system is rigged, etc., and so on. You don't need to hear me go on and on about that. I'm sure it would be quite boring at this point. I don't really have anything new to say on that front. You pretty much know where I stand on all of that. But I wanted to. Talk about how Brian Kemp, who is the governor here in the state of Georgia, how he faced off against notorious far-left Stacy Abrams in 2018, and he just barely won, just by the thinnest of margins. He just barely pulled it out. Of course, who knows, as I said, electoral politics, who knows what's real and what isn't. But, with whatever all the shenanigans involved, after all that had been thrown into the mix, Kemp was leading Abrams by a very tiny margin. And the margin was so tiny. I believe that there was a recount, and I believe that Abrams never conceded, and that she was trying to see to it that this, that, or the other thing would happen, that they could stage a revote or something like that. Never came to pass, never came to fruition. Of course, Brian Kemp did indeed become the governor of Georgia. Now, I remember in 2018, at the time, being relieved, that Kemp had won, that he'd beaten out Stacy Abrams, but not really thinking not really thinking, oh wow, this is a huge deal. This is, boy, we really dodged a bullet there. I didn't think of it in those terms. If Stacy Abrams had won, it would have been a bummer, but I would have thought, yeah, but it's not going to really affect my life much one way or the other. Who the governor is doesn't really amount to a hill of beans in my world, and I would have forgotten about it soon afterwards. But then there was 2020. 2020, oh my goodness. And suddenly it became incredibly important who the governor of your state was. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't important before that in many crucial ways, but suddenly it became the difference between whether you were essentially a free state or a slave state. And yes, I'm using the word slave, even though it's a loaded term. I'm using it because I think it is entirely appropriate to describe what befell the people who were unfortunate enough to be governed by usually it was Democrats. There were also some bad Republican governors who also did this. What I'm talking about is the lockdown. What I'm talking about is when Trump declared a state of emergency, which he never should have done in the first place. I hold him responsible for that. I agree with JFK Jr. on that he should have stood up to his advisors and said, no, I'm not going to do that. That's wrong. There's absolutely nothing constitutional about that. There's nothing in the Constitution that says if we have a pandemic, that means that you get to play tyrant, that you get to overstep the bounds of your authority, that you get to close down everything, force people out of their jobs, force people into zombie existences, stay-at-home orders, all these kinds of atrocious and thoroughly unconstitutional edicts that you heard in many, many places going through in the world, but also in the United States. But here in Georgia, we were governed by Brian Kemp, not by Stacy Abrams. And Brian Kemp was, I don't know the man at all. He might be a good guy. He might be a bad guy. I'm not vouching for him on the personal front. But what I will say about him, that won him my undying thankfulness, was that he basically wanted nothing to do with the lockdown stuff. He was one of the best governors in the country, I believe, better than DeSantis in the early stages, because I don't think DeSantis was. I don't think he allowed for there to be freedom nearly as early as Kemp did. Now, there were certain states that never closed down. There were certain states where they never enforced the lockdown, like Arkansas and South Dakota and a few others, and they were the best ones. I'm not so Kemp is below them because he did for a short time enforce a thorough lockdown, but it was only for a very short time. Basically, only through, as I'm remembering, only through around the month of April. Around the end of April, he started saying we need to open things up again, and by the end of May, by Memorial Day weekend, by June 1st, Georgia was open again. All the stores were open. Things were essentially back to normal, except everyone was walking around wearing muzzles, which was stupid, but you can't. I mean, whatever. If people want to do that and they're not making anybody else do that, then whatever. Kemp was also very good, very strong on saying there are no that mask mandates are bad. We're not going to do that. No mask mandates. He overruled a bunch of the mayors who were liberal Democrats in different cities, including here in Savannah. He opened the beaches, and I remember, I'm not even somebody who likes the beach that much. I don't like the hot sun. I don't like getting sand everywhere in all the crevices of my body, if you know what I mean. I don't like the salt. I don't like the stickiness that you get when you get into when you step into the ocean, and then salt waters, the saltwater residue. It's just there's going to the beach is not all that of an enjoyable experience for me. But I remember going to the beaches several times during the summer of 2020, and just seeing people, behave, just people running around having fun, you know, kids running around, with their rafts and their, families playing frisbee, in the tide. It was so heartening. It was so heartening, a sight. It was so unbelievably. It gave me such a shot of hope. It restored my by then, my incredible need to experience normalcy of some kind. And here it was, just seeing people having fun at the beach in the summertime, like they're supposed to do. Nobody, nobody wagging their fingers in their faces and telling them that they're super spreaders or any of that bullshit. And if it had been up to the mayor, of Tybee Island, where the beaches are, here in Savannah, there's other beaches in Georgia, but the one that's closest to here is Tybee Island. The mayor of Tybee Island wanted to close the beaches down, but the mayor didn't have the authority to do that. The governor had the authority to say whether the beaches were closed down or not, and the governor said, "These beaches are open. Let people come and swim and have fun in the sun and do all the things they do during the summer months." And they did. And again, it was so wonderful. It was so wonderful just to be among them. Just to see it all happening around me. So this has gone on a bit longer than I even thought that it would. But my conclusion is that you never see when grace is coming. You never see and things that you don't think are that important suddenly become very, very important, and you realize that it was contingent on just a razor thin margin. Because I have no doubt if Stacy Abrams had become governor, Georgia would have been like she would have made Georgia another California. She would have made Georgia another New York. She would. There would have been more pushback because Georgia isn't those places. Georgia's got much more of a conservative, and libertarian streak to its electorate or to its citizenry. It's not going to just stand by and let that happen. So there probably would have been some social unrest. I might have gotten my ass thrown in jail because I came to realize in March, April, May of 2020 just how important all of this was, and just how important it was to take a stand against this encroaching evil, this this pretext that they were using, this bogus pretext that they were using to try to drain the world of joy, to try to drain the world of vitality, to enhance their own power through illegitimate means, and take over and impose all the things that they want to impose as part of the Great Reset agenda. Let's face it, all of that was what was going on in the world to one degree or another. And if Stacy Abrams had won, the beaches would be closed. Probably all the stores, the malls would be closed. You would have to wear a mask everywhere you went, or else you'd get fined. I don't know. People would be. It would have just. It would have greatly enhanced this tyrant streak in people. The so-called Karens would have been super empowered, and it would have been just things would have looked so different. I might have ended up in jail, or I might have ended up, who knows, with a bullet in my head. Maybe that's TMI. I don't know, but I was really, I was. It was greatly affecting me. Again, just to summarize, thank God that Brian Kemp won the governor seat in 2018. And who would have thought? I didn't think in 2018 that it was going to matter all that much. It would matter in certain ways, but I didn't think it would matter just like in a deep down, visceral level. Something that affects you every day kind of level. So on National Prayer Day, I say thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for allowing things to transpire the way that they did in my home state. And, God bless and God help those who weren't so lucky, and who live under tyranny, and who live, under the just this most despicable kind of petty tyranny that has taken hold in so many ways ever since March of 2020 in the United States and elsewhere. So those are my thoughts. National Prayer Day. Thanks for watching.